Now, when we left, I was laughing. And why, you probably want to know. Well, I'll tell you, because sitting right next to me is an actual laugh specialist. How about that? Shannon McDevitt from Charleston. So glad to have you on the show. I read about you in Skirt Magazine,
yes,
and I thought, wow, didn't know there was such a creature, and I'm glad you're here. Let's back up a little bit and tell our viewers a little bit about yourself and how you landed in Charleston.
Sure. Well, I grew up in the Northeast. I lived in Philadelphia and lived in Connecticut, and actually spent a little time in New York City as well. I worked for Jim Henson Productions, which is the Muppets.
Right.
So did some work for them right out of college. Then had enough of the snow and the cold weather.
Now, were you a drama major?
No.
Creative arts?
I had always participated in those things, but I was actually a human development major, which is a combination of education and psychology.
Right.
So finally got sick of the snow and decided to come down south, and worked as a sales representative down here for a little while for a clothing designer. And then decided that I wanted to be self-employed. I had had some work experiences that made me think that work and fun shouldn't be mutually exclusive.
Right.
And that's what really inspired me to go into business for myself, was just seeing how many people really didn't like their jobs, and that life is way too short not to enjoy what you do.
And is that how Just Humor Me came into being?
It is. It absolutely is. I actually started off teaching children's programs. And my other business is called Socially Savvy, entertaining and educational programs for children. And that concept was basically very, very loosely based on what I had learned about education in college, and was really inspired by Jim Henson in the sense that learning should be fun.
Absolutely.
It absolutely should be fun. So I started off teaching children social skills. And social skills and manners are known for being very stuffy and uptight and not so fun. So I wrote some programs on how to teach children those skills in a fun way.
Now, where do you teach? Do you actually go to people's homes, or do you have a place that they come?
I go to the schools. I'll go to schools, private clubs. I'll go to community centers.
And what age child are we talking about? Any age?
Pre-kindergarten all the way up through 12th grade.
Wow.
So, of course, with the little children, we use puppets and things like that. With the older children, I have to be concerned with being a little more cool than that. So we have some other activities.
So actually, Socially Savvy began before Just Humor Me.
It did. It began before Just Humor Me. And when I started working with the children, I knew that I wanted to also be working with adults. I didn't want to be a classroom teacher, per se, because I didn't think I had the attention span for that, and I wanted to be the one that just got to do the fun parts. So I went and got trained how to teach business etiquette, and which is another subject that's just renowned for being very stuffy and uptight and not so much fun. So I go into corporations and teach them basically how to bring fun and civility to the workplace, because what I've learned is that people without a sense of humor aren't very nice to be around, and people that aren't very nice usually aren't much fun to be around. And so I actually got certified as an etiquette instructor and then certified as a laughter leader.
I love that.
Which is an odd combination, but when you think about the sense of humor being one of the most important social skills to have, it makes sense.
Are you amazed at the lack of humor? People are dull in the workplace?
I think I'm amazed at how many people are unhappy with what they do. And unfortunately, I think when we're younger, we have all these dreams of what we want to be, and we think that we can be and do anything. And then one day we wake up and realize that we're filing or shuffling papers or not having as much meaning to our work that we want. And basically the message that I try and get across in the corporate programs through Just Humor Me is that no matter what job you're in, you can add a little bit of fun to what you do and whoever your customers are, whether you're a security guard or you're a CEO, you're a waitress, whatever you do, your attitude impacts what you do a lot. And you can add humor to someone's day. When you make one of your customers laugh, they're much more likely to want to do business with you. You make somebody smile. I don't think there's enough people that go out of their way to make other people smile. And I know when I come across somebody who makes me laugh, I remember them forever.
Now, how did you develop these programs? And is it just like one program, or does it depend on if you're going to be talking to a group of CEOs, or if you're going to be talking to a group of engineers? Or how do you tailor it?
Very custom designed, and that's, I think maybe one of the things I underestimated when I first got started was that it's not just you go in and you talk about the importance of fun at work to any group. It's definitely, there's certain tips that I will give to each group, But for CEOs, they're going to have a different stress level than their employees, or they're going to have different issues than their employees would. So I definitely customize it for the group. I have a business etiquette program, and that's called How to Outclass Your Competition and Drive a Better Car Than They Do, which that's just obviously kind of a joke of a way of saying that polishing yourself, but having a sense of humor about it. Another program called People Peeves, and that's talking about how to deal with and diffuse difficult people and situations.
Interesting. We all need that.
We all need that, absolutely. Another one called Laughing All the Way to the Bank.
Oh, great.
And that one is specifically designed from the Certified Laughter Leader program that I went to. That's therapeutic laughter techniques. I think I called it a sane and certifiable reason for acting loony. And it is every bit as goofy as it sounds. It's literally going through simulated laughter exercises.
So was I doing good?
You did a perfect example of that. That was hands down probably the best one I've seen of somebody who's just willing to get in there and do it. And what's funny is that depending on talking about the different groups and customizing it, some groups I'll walk into and they are just ready to laugh.
Right.
And other groups I'll walk into and they think, what on earth is this lady trying to get me to do? And I had one of those groups just a couple weeks ago where I walked into the room and everybody was very serious. But what happens is that once a couple people start laughing, it becomes contagious, and then you actually feel silly if you're not participating in the laughter. So it's simulated laughter that leads to genuine laughter. And whether it's real laughter or fake laughter, you're still getting the health benefits from it.
And there are so many health benefits.
Oh, absolutely. It's amazing.
It really is.
You lower your blood pressure, you're increasing the oxygen to your brain, you're relaxing your muscles, the mind-body connection, you reduce odds of depression. You're just generally a happier person and, of course, more pleasant to be around.
Right. Amen to that.
Yes, amen to that.
Now, do you go far and near to do these programs?
We'll go to Charlotte and Atlanta. I generally stay around the Charleston area, but I definitely will travel. But for now, I've been around the Charleston area and working with all different kinds of companies and organizations.
And could you maybe have in your group 4 people or 20, or does that determine?
Actually, what it usually determines is what type of games I do with them.
Okay.
So it's more the activities that are affected by the group number. I had a group of 80 one time, and I came up with a game for them, and it tied in with their company theme of having to do with water was one of their products. So I had 80 executives standing outside playing this game called Storks, where they all had to stand up on one foot and shoot water guns at each other to the theme of Rocky. And so that was great fun. And when I first took out the water guns, everybody said, what on earth are we going to be doing with those? And then, of course, the music started playing, they got in the spirit of it, and it was fun. Now, for a group of 4, that's going to not be as much fun. So in that case, I would do a different type of game. So I can do it with all sorts of sizes of groups.
Have you ever thought about putting some of these tips into a book, in a book form?
You know, I have. I've thought about that a couple of times, and one book that I'd really like to write is a book on the transition from college to the proverbial real world, and how many things that you really don't learn in school as far as going out and finding a job that makes you happy. There's a book that I read called Cool Careers for Dummies. And it basically just lists a lot of neat niche careers that you don't think of. Because when you're little and somebody asks you what you want to do, you don't say, well, a certified laughter leader. It's something that you come across and you develop and cultivate on your own.
How many are there of you certified laugh leaders?
There are a little over 300 throughout the country.
Gosh.
Yeah, but the movement actually started originally in India. A physician there was prescribing regular medicine along with laughter to his patients.
I love that.
Yeah, and he started off in a public park with a group of his patients. And imagine walking by a public park and seeing a bunch of people just doing the ha-ha-ha-has and just all out laughing. And people walking by, I thought, well, those people are crazy. But it turns out that you're actually crazy if you're not participating in that laughter, if you're not finding out ways to increase laughter in your life, because then your stress level is higher, you're just more tense all the time.
Well, I imagine your job is just tons of fun because you're leaving people with smiles on their faces.
That's right.
And I'm sure all of the responses you get are very positive.
They've been very positive, and I'm very self-critical, so I take to heart any suggestions that come in. But usually the number one thing is just that people were really glad to be able to have such a good time with their coworkers. They're get so used to seeing each other in work mode that it's really nice to see them doing the hokey pokey. I do icebreakers and meeting openers.
That's what it's all about.
That's what it's all about. That's exactly right. We do icebreakers and meeting openers, the hokey pokey, and all sorts of different
Now, I think
games.
you're a pet lover too, because I believe that you give a part of your earnings to pet
I
helpers
do.
or what
That's
what
correct.
of your choice?
To the SPCA or Golden Retriever Rescue, and that's a nonprofit that helps find homes for unwanted or neglected golden retrievers.
Good for you.
So that's an organization that's very close to my heart.
And you also have a website.
I do, and that is www.justhumorme.com, all one word, J-U-S-T.
And under that is your stuff about socially
Sure, there's a link to there on the
Okay.
children's programs, and you can also download a brochure about all the different programs on there.
Most of the time, are you go in mainly to just a company meeting, or is it like a big group and you're maybe one of the speakers? How does it work? All of the above?
You know, I'm still trying to figure that out because it's something different almost every time. Sometimes it's 20 minutes at a recognition banquet and giving just a little pep talk on the importance of recognizing each other, telling some funny stories. Other times it's going in and doing a simulated laughter exercise, going in and teaching them about the health benefits of laughter and going through the ha-ha-has, ho-ho-hos, he-he-he's that we call it. And other times it's going in and teaching the philosophy of how you can have fun with what you do and still be professional.
Cool. Deb, you like to write. Obviously, you write your own material.
I do.
Are you a closet humor writer?
I think so.
I know my viewers know that I am. I mean, there's never such a thing as a bad pun.
That's right.
I love all puns.
That's right. I do enjoy writing very much. That's one of my favorite things is when I sit down to write a new program and just find out what works, and just it gets my memory going of funny stories that I've heard, things that have happened to me. Every day is really kind of a new opportunity, I say, to either goof up or to be goofy. And so those are always...
That's a win-win.
Yeah, that's right. That's exactly right. So daily events contribute to my programs and the stories that I tell, and I'll never know how something will come in handy for a talk, and it usually does.
Well, do you feel like people, there are so many stuffed shirts, people who take themselves way too seriously.
That's true.
Are they kind of, is it a hard sell for them to get you to come in, and then once they see you there, they realize, gosh, we should have hired her 2 years ago?
Once they do get a taste of it, once they see what it's all about, it's, oh, okay, it's not a matter of going in there, it's not a comedy routine.
No, right.
You don't go in there and tell jokes. You go in there and help them to have fun. So I'm working alongside with them. So I'm there to present substance with entertainment and teaching them how to incorporate this into their own workplace so that when I walk out the door, that's not the end of the fun, it's just the beginning of it.
Okay, so if we have some businesses who are watching, or teachers that are watching, or groups, you could do anything from coming to be teaching humor, really anything from I think this is right, from a garden club to a CEO big wig seminar.
That's absolutely right. And also I had to add humor to the classrooms. I have a program for that as well. Adding humor to the classrooms, which can be very challenging for teachers. I've done some teaching, and I know how difficult it can be at times to be patient and just remember to laugh no matter what you're doing. So I have to remind myself of that sometimes.
So you feel like you've gotten it down, obviously, to a fine science.
Yeah, it's
the science of laughing.
Absolutely, the science of laughing, and I'm constantly learning, constantly amazed by all that there is to learn, just about the work world, about people, and really just the simplicity of laughter and how vital it is to our lives. I think one of the questions I usually ask when I start off is, when's the last time you laughed so hard that you cried? And when's the last time? And I ask questions like that just to get people's memories jogging, and a lot of times people get a little emotional because they can't remember the last time they laughed that hard, which is a shame. But then what I say is, that's the bad news. The good news is you can change that, and no matter what you're doing, there are ways that you can improve that.
Well, I think one of the good things, there's really nothing good that came out of 9/11, so I'll preface that, but that, you know, it's the simple things in life that bring the joy, and the time we spend with loved ones, and humor can be such a wonderful addition to that.
It is. And the stress after all of that time, people needed a little lightness and a little laughter. And I think if you're not having enough fun in your own life, one of the best ways to get it started is to make someone else laugh and make them smile.
Have you found out since 9/11 you're getting more calls for this kind of thing?
I think every time someone hears the word laughter or humor, either one of those, they say, I need more of that in my life.
Very good.
Nobody can have too much humor or laughter in their life. And one of the men that I learned from, a man named Joel Goodman, who wrote a book called Laugh-Formations, great fun tips on how to add laughter to your life. And he went up to his secretary one day who was having a real gloomy kind of day, and rather than just give the usual, good morning, Susan, how are you, he walked right up to her and said, "Good morning," like that. And it just took her aback, and she burst out laughing because it was something unexpected. So do something unexpected yourself or for somebody else, and you'll get the laughter started right away.
Well, it's been indeed a pleasure.
Thank you very much.
To have you on the show.
It's glad to be here.
I look forward to perhaps participating one day.
Absolutely, I'd love to have you. You could be the leader.
But thank you so much for coming on. We're going to take a commercial break and come right back, and I'll finish out today's show. See you back in a minute.